Good evening, everybody. R.S. Mallory here. We are in the midst of a limited time offer for our newest product, Go Charge, which is a nitric oxide product. And for those people who don't know what nitric oxide is, every organ in the body and every system in the body utilizes nitric oxide for one reason or another. So I have a little presentation here. Let's see if I can get it for us here. Okay, about what this is. But first of all, I'd like to just tell you in my own words, and you can see all the information on the screen. Nitric oxide is very important for every single system in our body, all of the organs, and our vascular system, our circulatory system, which is our veins, our vascular system, which is very, very important because it connects all of the other things like our heart and our lungs and all of the organs together. So basically, this product, if it's a good product, functionally will help clean out the veins. And what's in the veins as we get older or our diets are not great, we get an accumulation of cholesterol. And for instance, I just had some blood tests done for my annual checkup, and I was told that my LDL part of my cholesterol is a little bit high. Of course, everybody's LDL and HDL are specific to them. So don't get really, really upset if the doctor tells you that one or the other is a little high or a little low, because you have to take a broad history of what your LDL history has been. However, we do know that when you eat an improper diet and you eat a lot of goodies and mushy stuff, that the cholesterol does accumulate in your veins. And when it does that, then it's very, very difficult for the blood to get through. Now, our vein system is miles and miles and miles, and it's literally the highway for health. Our veins are the system is a highway for health because it goes through every single organ in our body. And of course, with the blood brings very much needed oxygen and nutrients for each one of the organs in our systems to work too. So when you take this nitric oxide, which by the way is all natural, it doesn't have any additives, no toxins in it. Our formulator, Zane Gray, has ensured that it is all natural. For instance, it is an orange berry flavored, and it's a very mild flavor, but he is not using fake or manufactured flavorings. He's using natural berries and orange. So it's very pleasant, but it is also very, very natural. So when your veins open up, rather than being closed down or clogged up with the plaque and the junk that's inside of it, and it opens up, then the blood can flow through freely through that. And in doing so, your blood pressure, if you suffer from high blood pressure, it will go down, because as your veins expand and there's more blood going through it, that means that the blood pressure goes down. So one of the reasons for high blood pressure is that we have a lot of gunk and junk and filling them up. And the nitric oxide actually cleans that out. So it reduces blood pressure. It's great for the heart. The heart is the largest muscle in our body, of course, and its responsibility is to pump blood in and out of all of the other organs. Without that, of course, we cannot live. So it's important that we have a good, steady stream of blood into the heart. Again, when the blood can get through the veins and they're expanded rather than contracted, the blood pressure regulates and you have a much stronger blood flow to the heart and all of the other organs. It also helps the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are responsible for the silent killer, cortisol, and cortisol is produced in the adrenal glands, and of course that creates a lot of stress. So when you have an appropriate amount of nitric oxide in your body, then your cortisol levels are not being produced in the adrenal glands. It's balanced out because you do need a little bit of cortisol in your body. And you are not in jeopardy of having some kind of a cardiac event, because stress is the silent killer as we know it to be. And when you are leveled out, you will not have that at all. So it balances out the cortisol production, lowering your stress levels. And it also does remarkable things for inflammation in your body. Now, we can get inflammation in our body, in our joints, in our organs, in our muscles. And since we are using nitric oxide in every one of those things, and we take enough of the nitric oxide, then the inflammation subsides. And when inflammation subsides, then you are not suffering. There's no aches, there's no pains, there's no arthritis, things like that. Now, also, we have brain function, and that's part of the nervous system and the brain function. The brain uses an awful lot of blood as well. And if the blood circulates through the brain in a positive way, then your brain can function at an optimal level. So that's very, very, very important, particularly once we get past the age of 30, things slow down. So even people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, 60s, 70s, and I read the other day that we have about 99,000 octogenarians plus living in the United States alone. That means people who are well over 100 years old. I'm sorry, centurions, people who are over 100 years old, 99,000 presently in the USA alone. So people who live that long have to ensure that their blood goes through their veins properly, that it gets to the brain, that it gets to the heart, that it gets to the immune system, that it gets to the respiratory system, the nervous system. And also, you've heard about keeping your brain agile and active. Well, when you consume a good nitric oxide, because you get an extraordinary blood flow to the brain, it will help your brain do those things. So let's go on here to the next page. Okay. So GoCharge, our nitric oxide, is designed around the latest research on nitric oxide. And again, Zane Gray, who is our formulator, makes sure that we have all natural ingredients in it. We'll talk about that in a minute. But nitric oxide basically is used in a metabolic pathway. And they are metabolic pathways, simply function to touch every single organ and every single system in our body. Why do you care? Well, the human body has a system of pathways for synthesizing nitric oxide. And if you don't have enough of it, and then you don't get enough blood to all of the organs here, just as you can read on the screen, it's a fancy way of saying it. Nitric oxide participates in virtually every cellular and organ function in the body. It transmits nerve signals and helps with body function and learning in the brain. It makes and releases hormones that control many body functions. It regulates the body's stress level response. As we discussed, it regulates and balances out the cortisol levels so that you won't have a bad reaction in your body to stress. It regulates immune functions and it prolongs the life of any organism. We are a total 100% organism, so it prolongs the life of all of the organs, all of the systems in our body. The loss of nitric oxide is recognized as early onset in most, if not all, chronic diseases, because if your body isn't getting blood flow, ladies and gentlemen, to any of these different organs or systems, then they start shutting down because they are not being oxygenated properly. They're not being delivered the nutrients that the blood is bringing them. And also they are shrinking because they are drying out. Our bodies are 99% water, and each one of our organs is a very large percentage of water too. So blood is composed of water as well. And if you don't have that circulation in every organ in your body, then you're going to have a big problem because you're shriveling up literally internally. Now, there was in 1998, 3 gentlemen here, as you see, were awarded the Nobel Prize for discovering nitric oxide as a signaling molecule in the cardiovascular system. So what that means is the signaling molecule tells our body that we do or we do not have enough nitric oxide. Here in the United States and in the Western Hemisphere, North America, our diets are not really terrific. Over the decades, we have found that we have a lot of foods have genetic modification to them. They're grown in soils that are depleted of minerals and vitamins. They also have been sprayed with all kinds of chemicals, toxic and otherwise, that get assimilated into what's ever growing. And then when you eat those foodstuffs, you're taking them into your body and it's damaging your body. We eat too much saturated fats, which damage the body. Also processed foods, sugars, canned foods, and high in salt. And of course, a lot of people are still eating the convenience foods, Burger King, and the like. And when you eat foods like that, it clogs down your body. They've even done research and a lot of experiments. A lot of people have done these where they've bought a McDonald's and let it sit on the counter for 10 years or so. And it still looks the same way it did when they purchased it 10 years before. In my time capsule in my high school, they put some Twinkies. And for our 50th year anniversary, they opened that time capsule. And when they tore open the Twinkies, they were soft. And somebody actually bit into that Twinkie and it tasted just like it did 50 years ago. But the reason is because there was nothing in that Twinkie that would be considered natural food. It was made from all chemicals. And indeed, the recipe for Twinkies has not changed in 50 years. So when you bite into a Twinkie, you're biting into something that's all fake. And there's no nutritional content in it at all because it's not food. And what happens then? We get things like leaky gut syndrome, and we take bacteria into our bodies. We have increased presence of high cholesterol and high blood pressure. So again, the nitric oxide is the body's friend. And when we take nitric oxide and it expands the veins, the vascular system, the blood can flow through it and it can help to wash away the cholesterol, and the blood pressure will come down and regulate because the blood is flowing freely. So we see dramatic increases in our cardiovascular disease when we eat all of this junk and when we take nitric oxide, and we also do something to enhance our diet and eat perhaps better foods, more healthy foods. Then we're also helping our body control all of those bad things. Nitric oxide begins to drop at the age of 30, as I mentioned, and all of the diseases in our body are caused by symptoms of not having enough nitric oxide and other fine minerals and vitamins in our bodies. So if you go to the farmer's market and you're buying all your fruits and your veggies, you have a much better chance of having a healthier vascular system than if you're buying them from a regular store and they're being sprayed with all kinds of toxic stuff. Our pathways, those metabolic pathways, are extracting, they're supposed to extract messages from the foods that we eat and then take it to all of the different organs in our body. So if you're eating something that's toxic, or something that's fake like a Twinkie and it doesn't have any kind of a message at all, then you're not giving any kind of a message to your metabolic pathways. If you're eating a better type of food that is perhaps organic and that was not sprayed with any kind of toxic junk in it, then it is a living food and it's got living vitamins and living minerals in it, and it's able to take those messages and deliver them across our pathways, which are like a hairnet all throughout our body. And indeed, they too use the system in our body that is our vein system, our cardiovascular system. So most nitric oxide products on the market today are designed on an obsolete and incomplete data research. We have found out that if you use, as the three gentlemen in 1998 discovered and were awarded the Nobel Prize, if you use a combination of L-arginine, which helps metabolize in the liver, and it converts chemicals into nitric oxide, amongst other things, and L-paraglutamine, which helps promote increased growth hormone levels on a 5-to-1 ratio. Then you have a nitric oxide product, which is going to be much more effective. It's going to be effective in the tissues. You're going to see a loss of fat. You will also see your muscles will start shrinking. As I said before, if you don't have the appropriate amount of nitric oxide and you don't have enough hydration, you don't have enough water in your body, in your blood for all of your muscles. So we also need some citrulline. Citrulline is not metabolized in the liver, but in the kidneys, where it's synthesized into L-citrosine. And that is also used in the body to help the body. Malic acid increases nitric oxide levels by as much as 21%. So this particular formula by Zane Grey is all natural. It also includes other things like ascorbic acid, grapeseed extract, a trace mineral blend with American elderberry, which has been known as one of the highest antioxidants there are for the immune system, magnesium citrate, which lowers blood pressure. And by the way, every organ in our body needs magnesium. Some people in their lifetime, if they're not fortunate, will experience a magnesium flush. And what that means is the magnesium just spontaneously goes out of the body, perhaps in your urine. And when that happens, they become very, very weak. Perhaps they can't stand up. Their muscles cannot support their structural body. And because every organ in our body needs magnesium as well. So we support this formula with some magnesium citrate, some pyridoxine HD, which is a vitamin B6, which increases brain health and the immune system, and menaquinine, which is a form of vitamin K, which we also know is very good for the heart and also for our bone structures. Again, the entire system of metabolic pathways are needed for the nitric oxide to get through, to send the messages to every single organ in our body. So here again, we talk about the metabolic pathways. When we have enough of the amino acids in our body together and we have a 5-to-1 ratio, it becomes easy. The metabolic pathways get the messages and they deliver the messages into each system in our body. So what I would, let's see here, what I would review is that nitric oxide is needed by every system in our body, along with many other minerals and vitamins that we have all been learning about up until this time. And this formula has 72 minerals and vitamins. It also has natural beet root. And many people know about the benefits of beets. It produces iron in your body, which is very much needed, and a whole bunch of other things. And a noni juice, along with 72 minerals and vitamins. I have not tasted the product yet. I've ordered mine, but the people who have tasted it have told us that it's very pleasant. It comes in a canister, and you just take a scoop and you put it in your water or your juice, and it's very mild flavored. So if you put it in an apple juice or an orange juice or a pineapple juice, My guess would be that it will maybe enhance the flavor a little bit because it's got a little orange and a little berry, so it'll give it a super shot. But it will also taste primarily like the juice that you're drinking. You can also, of course, put it in water. I drink lemon juice in the morning with a little bit of apple cider vinegar. You could put it in that too. You could just put it in plain water. And within a couple of days, you'll start feeling that your brain is awakening and is becoming much more attentive. You will also find out that if you are a little sluggish, particularly in the profuse heat that we're all suffering from these days in the summertime. Here in Texas, we've had over almost 70 days of over 100-degree weather. And frankly, if you stay in the house in the air conditioning, you get a little lethargic because your body knows outside that it's very, very hot. And we have to go out a little bit, take care of yourselves, always stay hydrated. But the nitric oxide is going to help your body regulate itself, regulate the temperatures, regulate the hydration, regulate all of the things in your body that are necessary for your organs to work correctly. This is one of those essential products that might not be a sexy product, but certainly if your aim is to go for longevity. And, you know, in the Bible, God says that he's going to grant us 120 years. Well, I don't know how many of you want to aim for 120 years. I sure do, because I'm past 50 and gosh, half my life would be gone if I would just, you know, aim for 70 or 75. Which I'm going to get to pretty soon. So I'm taking care of my body and all the organs in my body and the systems in my body and doing what I can do to make sure that this body stays healthy so that as I attain those years going up, that my body will be in great shape and perform well. For those of you who are invited to listen to this call by somebody else, we appreciate you listening in. Hope you found this valuable. Get back to the person who invited you to this call. We presently have an LTO, a limited time offer for 4 or 5 days. I have a sneaking suspicion, though, that this product is going to be so well received by our present members that it is going to be a staple product and it will be available very, very, very soon for everybody to buy on a monthly basis. So again, get back to the person who invited you to this call, and thanks for tuning in. Good night, everybody.